Alright, this is a 2014 Ram 1500, and this is the air intake, the Mopar air intake that I installed. I wanted to point out a few things. The instructions that come with the intake are actually pretty good as far as removing the old one and putting the new one in. But there are a few things that, addendums, let's say, things that I'd like to mention that might help you out. The first thing that I can think of, and I think the biggest thing, is this. This is the air temperature sensor. Now, when you remove that, you'll notice that it's a very thin probe that goes into the air path. And you don't want to damage it, obviously. I don't know how expensive it is, but I'm sure it's not cheap. And the problem is that this tube here is a lot thicker than the old one. And this entry hole, I think during manufacturing it collapses and gets a little too small. So what I had to do, and the air intake didn't want to fit in comfortably. So what I had to do was ream it out, and I had some large drill bits, and I started small and progressively reamed it out so that it would get bigger and bigger until I was comfortable with the way the air sensor fit in. Obviously at each step making sure to clean out any rubber bits so that they don't, get into the air intake. Like I said, I did that progressively until I was comfortable with the way it slid in there, and I'm confident that it's sealed because it's still nice and tight. The other thing too is take note when you take it out what the orientation of the probe is, so that you're getting it back in the exact same position, because it's a little bit difficult to tell. It's not the same sort of positive clip that it goes into on the old one. So again, just make sure you take note of the orientation of it. And then the second thing is this hose right here. Once you have, in the instructions it tells you to put the box in first and get it in its position, and then it's one of the last things is to put this on, and it's a little difficult to get in position. You can do it. I did it in this case, but I was also thinking that if you put it on before you get the box in its final position, it might make it a little easier to get it on there without having to move it around, stretch it, let's say. And then the third thing is, let's see if I can show this. When the original one's installed, it actually pushes up against this foam pad here. But in this case, you can see that there's a little gap. It doesn't exactly touch it. The old one's actually pressing up against this, so it's a nice positive seal. But this one isn't actually touching. Now, I don't think it's a big deal, and please take a minute and comment on the video if you think that is a big deal, and if you have any ideas of how to fix it. Maybe somebody makes a bigger piece of foam here. But you'll notice too, it's a little bit on an angle. It actually does touch up here in the front, but not in the back. So again, if you have any comments on that, please do so. And okay, and then a couple more things. In the instructions, they tell you to take off this bolt down here for the air conditioning tube, and this bolt there for the air conditioning tube. Now, it doesn't allow it to move much, but believe it or not, it is just enough. These move out of the way just enough for you to help you get that box in position. So that actually does help. And then lastly, just show you inside here if I can get this open. There's the filter itself, and then you can see where that this tube here comes in and connects right there. Like I was saying before, it might be easier to get that barb on when you have a little bit more play. And then I just thought this was interesting and very helpful. There's a little notch right here in the housing, and that actually lets you get an extension on so that you can get down there and get that screw nice and tight. So like I said, that worked great with an extension to get down there and tighten that up. And then you just put the cover on and bolt it down and you're all done. So hope that helps.